You can also record on your own. I'm recording to the cloud already.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Hey, oh, sorry, it looks like it stopped. I've started it again. Thank you very much. I just checked, it stopped. You are right, it stopped. I was recording to the cloud. When I was switching between the videos, okay. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. But please, class, I think I've also enabled recording for the whole class. Those of you want to record on your own. Okay, Ujima, thank you very much for that. Hey, I think I have to make this automatic. Okay. Ujima, your hand is still up. Is there anything?
No, Prof. No, Prof.
Good. Okay, so those of us who are just joining in terms of recording, what we have been talking about is IT policy and IS policy. And we are talking about interrelationship, where the IT part is part of an equation that is within the information system. Or so the IT or ICTs refer to the communication layer, the hardware layer, and the technology, the software layer. Whilst we then add, we have the IS becoming a function of people, process, and business policy structure, infrastructure, so many other things we can, sorry, structure, procedures can be added to it. So the IT is just looking into the hardware, software, the network infrastructure. In that sense, we can have an IT policy, which will not necessarily govern people. I hope you're looking at the kind of equation we have here. The IT policy will just focus on the information technology tangible layer, whilst the IS policy will do more than the IT policy. And we also mentioned that we can have specific policy that address specific needs, like security needs. And that means that we can have an IS security policy that looks at the security controls put in place to secure our information and information related assets. However, a broader IS policy, like I mentioned, could do more. For example, acceptable use of the internet in the office may not be a security issue per se. For example, allocating people to be able to use the internet maybe 1 hour in a day. That has been an IS policy, or maybe even an IT policy. But it's not a security policy per se. Okay, thank you very much. So IS governs the appropriate use of like information technology, business policy, structure and processes and people to achieve and sustain organizational objectives. Okay. But IT policy looks at the appropriate use of hardware, software, and network infrastructure to achieve and sustain technological organizational objectives. It specifies requirements, standards for consistent use of the IT resources. So please look at the one is broad, one is a narrow one. Look at the technological layer. Anybody confused or anybody wanting to get clarification with an example or something here? Yeah, can I go ahead? If I can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, miss. Later.
Please, I have a question. If the IS policy actually includes all the elements of the IT policy, why don't we just focus on the IS policy, which covers everything? And instead of also separating the IT policy and making it its own thing.
Okay. If you do that, you have one very bulky document, and it will be very difficult for management to even pass or approve. We build policies incrementally. And for example, if I'm doing acceptable use of IT policy, I don't need to cover every single thing which is not about acceptable use, so that I can have it in a piecemeal manner to address a specific issue. If I have an email policy, that's just for email. But if you want me to do a very big policy, having a section for email, having a section for this, it will become verbose, and even people cannot follow. I hope you understand me. So we build individual specific policies based on human use, the type of technology that we have. For example, UG just passed last week the AI policy. Yesterday, they just commissioned it, the AI policy for acceptable use of AI within academia. Then they brought the teaching and learning policy. But the teaching and learning policy or online policy has been there as guidelines for some time, which I helped to develop. But it is now that they are passed after council meeting and then accepting it. But plagiarism policy has been there already. So what we are trying to emphasize here, the policies can be developed incrementally as and when things happen. So you may have an IT policy, an IS policy some time ago, but that one never factored in AI because AI was not the need. So today that AI has come, we don't say that we are revising everything in the past. We can do an addendum just focusing on just the AI, an addendum just focusing on just maybe EVs. If the university wants to start buying EVs for and using EVs to as part of its transportation fleet, so it may have to now have a policy on EVs. So what we are trying to point out is that you build IT policies in a different, in diverse manner. You have to think about the organizational information needs at that point in time and build the IT policy or the IS policy to suit that particular one. I will not advise you to put every single thing in one document. You cannot even follow. Is that okay?
Yes, Prof.
But what we
Thank
try
you.
to do is that when we bring some of the overarching policies, we refer to the old ones. So let me just give an example of the teacher learning policy that was approved. You see how many things they refer to. Sorry, it's raining now. If I'm it's disturbing. So this is UG teacher and learning policy 2026, the updated one. So you see the purpose of the policy, aims of the policy, definition and terms. We'll be looking at these things in the policy principles, rules and possibilities to teaching and learning process, online teaching. But we already have online teaching and learning guidelines, which I did. I work with another team of members to be able to do that. Look at it. Faculty must consult the University Online Teaching and Learning Guidelines 2022 for details on conducting the online teaching. They don't need to pick that one and put them in that the whole big document. My document is about, we covered everything. So my document is about, let's say, almost 30 pages. We can't add it to this one. This is just 14 pages. So what we are doing is that we are referring to, we don't have to put in plagiarism policy here. We can refer to it. So if you look at the end of the related guidelines, this document should be used in relation to the academic quality assurance policy, the student handbook, the approval of new programs, the use of Turnitin for plagiarism, the handbook for doctoral studies, the handbook for graduate studies, the handbook for graduate studies 2011. So they even go to repeat the old ones. The handbook for bachelor degrees, the handbook for bachelor degree descriptions in volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, all of the information and communication technology policy, June 2022. You see here. The online teaching guidelines, the one I worked on in 2022, the plagiarism policy of 2025, the regulation of junior members is dealing with human beings now, and the research policy, and the graded handbooks from the College of Humanities, and the University of Ghana's research policies. The latest revised version of any of these policies will be applicable at any given time. So the main policy now is a very simple document, just about how many? 14 pages. And it is feeding on all the other policies that is about teaching and learning and other ones that go beyond teaching and learning. So you will see about the one on junior members and student facilities. Why? Yesterday, I think you heard about the news that an examination was being written in WASI, analyzing the infrastructure after that. You see, if you just did an examination policy, that doesn't have anything to do with student vandalism. You think that doesn't play a key role. Tomorrow morning, you realize that your examination policy may have to refer to the student behavior policy. But at the beginning, you didn't even think that your examination policy will have to refer to it. So we build the policies and then we refer to them without repeating so that we can cite them. So in like this one, when we go to online teaching and learning, we cited it. That go back to the teaching and learning work that was done some time ago during COVID-19 time. That's when we did it. And then call upon it. So I think I read it earlier. The teaching and learning are good. Refer to the university online teaching and learning policy. So, now, when I come to this class, you guys can let me over teach you. The things I'm teaching is now becoming plenty. Okay, so this is the one I worked on. Somebody is looking for consultancy job for what Prof is doing. Charlie, how can I go to a private university and go and collect job and do this for them? Okay, so this is the online teaching and learning policy. Okay, I did it in 2021. It was assented to in 2022. So I think there may be a newer version in terms of the dates, not in terms of content. Now look at what we covered. So we have about 30, even 41 pages. We did everything. So look at it. Online teaching guidelines, the faculty obligation, the class size, content that you can use online, the recording of lectures, the students online, what students are supposed to do, how we can assess people online, and then online teaching and learning quality, the quality measures we want to achieve, then the infrastructure that is supported. For example, in this document, we tell you that we are using Teams. Zoom is not our primary one. We are using Teams. But let me explain something to you. The Zoom account I'm using is the one provided by government of Ghana under what they call the GCNet infrastructure provision. What the I think GCNet is it the Garnet? Is it Garnet? Or I've forgotten the actual acronym, but the acronym says that they are providing support for Ghanaian universities to be able to provide teaching and learning support services during the COVID time. So they created it and the government of Ghana was paying. And since then I've been using it. I don't know whether they are still paying, but it's still working for me. Some people will say they are not working, it's not working anymore, but mine is still working. Now, what I realized is that initially, University of Ghana said that they have signed something with Microsoft, so they are using Turnitin in. But Ghana government has given me Zoom. So what do you think I'll use? The University of Ghana has signed for Teams because we are using Microsoft. But Ghana government has given me what's the name? Zoom. But the University of Ghana one is still working. That's the prescribed one from the university. However, I tend to find some people find Teams to be sometimes cumbersome and not easy to navigate. But I realize that Zoom too is very versatile for me, so I'm using this Zoom. So some of you, I think when you go to some classes, some lecturers are using Teams, if I'm right, and
Yes.
some of them are
No,
using
Yes,
no.
Zoom.
sir.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
team in the university account is open for everybody to be able to use. But I happened I don't know what happened, but when the COVID was over, my own continued working. But I know a number of people in the department whose own is not working. So I still using it. Even this week I saw they've added more features. I said, hey, who is paying for this for me? But I don't know who is actually giving me all these services, but I'm still using it. So for us, I'm a lecturer in Ghana. So I think even when you go into, when I log onto this, I'm able to know that I belong to a University of Ghana, Ghanaian Universities Network or something like that. Ghana, I think Ghana University Networks or something. It's a name like that. And I'm part of it and I get access to use it. Anyway, maybe because I was part of those who developed the e-learning, I don't know. Maybe somebody submitted my name and I have it. So since COVID time, I've been using it. Good. So if let's go to infrastructure in England. So you see the statement, there's a statement here. At the time of developing this policy, the university had adopted Sakai as the official one for this, and it will be managing it. Now, then talk about Turnitin. Then we also talked about we listed the softwares that we can use. Zoom, where is it? Oh, good. The training and use of tools in Sakai and applications for video conference such as Zoom and Big Blue Button. So they will give support to these ones. But there's one of good. Here is it. The current and recommended ideal state of online infrastructure, Sakai, Turnitin, Zoom, and Teams. But Teams, we have 4,000 licenses. And then Zoom, we had 5,000 licenses. But now this one is not existing anymore. The 5,000 licenses is not existing. So we are now dependent on this one. That's what I said. I think the licenses have been reduced. So we are now here. We are now here. Okay. So all the infrastructure that we had was encrypted in the document. Do you realize why we can't put these 41 pages in the teaching and learning document? Can you see the reason, Victor? Because these are guidelines. They are not policy. They are guidelines. And I'll explain that as we go on. Dina, please go ahead.
Okay, I think you've answered my question partially. I was about to ask if there could be an instance where there's too many policies. So, for instance, there's policy for students, policy for lecturers, policy for people who are working in the school. Everybody is following two like different policies. Or for maybe a company, their policy for marketing, networking. Everybody has different policies. Don't you think
Yes,
it would be over?
no. The policy is supposed to give us guidance in different aspects of people human behavior. Policy for marketing will govern marketing activities. It will not govern procurement activities. So we need a policy for procurement. A policy for procurement would have to refer to PPA rules within its policy, whichever organization that you are in. And then there's even policy for risk management, which will look at the internal audit issues relating to how we work with the auditor general. So please, all of them for roles in the organization. And remember that that's why we have functions in the organization, and different functions tend to emphasize different things. If I want to manage marketing to people, I can't carry IS policies for software installation to marketing. They don't install software. And why should the marketer be concerned about installing software? But the marketer will be concerned about social media policy. I hope, and he will be concerned not about technical part of the social media policy. For example, the type of passwords you are using on what it relates to it. But you'll be concerned about what do we use the social media for? Who can create a social media page? Who cannot create? Who should manage it? All this will come from the marketing or public relations unit of the institution. But it is important that disciplinary functions sit together to develop policy. And these are some of the things to discuss when you're doing the policy development. Okay. Please just give me a second. So I had to close my window because the sound of the rain was too much for me. Okay, good. So we need to be able to collaborate across the departments when we are developing policies. And we'll come back to that one in our test session when we are developing policies. Okay, very good question. Very, very good question. So I think I'm very happy about the engagement so far. Thank you. Policy do not exist in a vacuum. They refer to regulations in the society that they are in. And that's what we saw in the University of Ghana one. They even refer to other policies that we are in. Even in the University of Ghana teaching and learning policy, we have to refer to Ghana government's policy on photocopy. I didn't even know it was going to be very important until when I went to present it, they told me that I have to think about quote this, how many pages can a lecturer take from an existing textbook? Otherwise, we can be sued. And the university was already in court discussing this one. So let me just show you. Those of you think it's not. So according to what the copyright law talks about, only small parts may be copied for educational purposes, 3% or 3 pages, whichever one is greater. 3% or 3 pages. And it shouldn't go beyond 50%. And this is coming from what our the copyrights and then reproductive rights, the reprographic rights association of Ghana, and then Copy Ghana. Yeah, Copy Ghana and they are the ones. Copy Ghana is the reprographic rights association of Ghana. So if you have a court, if somebody reports to them that an international textbook we have been photocopying it for the students, they'll come after us. And usually has had issues with that. So it has to be in the policy. So sometimes the policy may also draw on other international policies that exist. Okay. Those of you who didn't know, when you're doing photocopy, be careful though. Because maybe they come for you, I'll tell you that you are the one who has been doing the photocopy of the textbooks. Some students can go and photocopy a whole textbook and they even share it for friends. Tell them, I'm going, no, it's 60 cedis. Bring your money, bring your money. Then you go and pay 40 cedis and come and charge them 60 cedis. And you should be arrested. You have turned the thing to business. Anyway, because you are doing more than 3%. Okay. You know, somebody said, what if, Prof? Today I photocopy 3%. Then tomorrow I come and do another 3%. Then tomorrow again I come and do another 3%. So that at every point in time, I have 3%, 3%, 3%. Then one day I'll get 100%. You're breaking the bank. Yeah. After that one, if they catch you and they're able to see that you are intentionally doing that, that's intent to commit crime. No, you may be arrested. But somebody will do that. They say, oh, you said 3%. Okay. They say 3% of 3 pages. So let's say a 30-page book, 3% will be, I think, how many? Hey, 3% will be very small. Okay, so what the person will do is that you come and do 3% today, tomorrow come and do 3%, then wait and leave a gap. I come next 2 weeks, I come do another 3%. Anyway, but just be careful. Policies empower and then disempower. As a governing mechanism, it may express expectations of what is acceptable and appropriate behavior. It will also set boundaries and also empower employees. So if we look at the e-learning policy, for example, we tell you what a lecturer can do, what students can expect from the lecturer. In fact, if you read the document, some of you, when you go to class, you put pressure on the lecturers because the kind of things that are in the document is just but it's guidelines. It's very supportive. For example, faculty reserve the right to give consent to students for recording. That's why some lecturers have been saying they won't give you access to record or don't even record and give it to you. Well, the right is in there, is within the remit of the faculty. Okay. But you also need the permission of the student to also record. That's why when you click on record, it says that asking permission that you want to record. Now, students may not publish or sell recordings of any form. This includes, but it's not limited to internet and hard copy publication. Students may not upload the recordings. So if you do your own recording, you can actually share it unless the lecturer even knows. Well, if you do share it, you can have a problem. So we have faculty initiated recording, and then there is university directed recording. And then I think we also pointed out the fact there's no student recording. Oh, I think the old one we have student recording too. I think they want to stop it, so they don't have that one in it. And what you can use the content for, what you cannot use it for. Anyway, so please, this is a very good document that you have to familiarize yourself with. Somebody has been doing. Say, Adrian, you here? Adrian, have you been doing photocopy and selling? Somebody's small business. As somebody will say, Obi page one. You don't go and spoil it. I don't want to spoil Adrian's business. I beg you, Adrian. I'm just teaching my teaching over, please. Okay. So the organization have different policies for information system and technology. We answered this question earlier. We answered it. So I think you can have different ones, but one should depend on the other. So, for example, the IT policy should be referred to in the IS policy. That's what our answer. The IT policy. You see why I said your class is doing very well. The questions that are even on my slides, you're asking them, oh, you're going to download them from Sakai. You're asking it ahead of time.
No.
Oh,
Okay, standards, guidelines, and procedures. Policy says what and why. The next three mechanisms say how and how exactly and step by step. So how exactly step by. So the how is standards, how exactly is guidelines, step by step procedures, step by step is procedures. Standards are also mandatory, but we use standards to be able to step in when we need a low level mandatory control. So that we can be able to establish what we want to need to do at maybe the user level. So for example, a password standard sets out the password complexity applicable for all users. No exception, no negotiation. It should be 12 characters. There should be an uppercase, there should be a lowercase. All of these are password standards. That will be done as a standard at a mandatory. But a password policy can say but the standards for creating the password is more operational. So we bring it to the standard level. So it's specific and it's mandatory. Guidelines are recommended but not required. So guidelines mean that this is the best practice if you should do it. But if you don't do it, you will not be penalized. But it's the best practice. It will keep you safe. So guidelines consider recommended non-mandatory control that support the standards and serve as a reference when no applicable standard exists. Treat them as best practices, not usually requirements, but strongly recommended. They add controls that support a standard or fill in the gaps where there's no specific guideline, a specific standard or policy. So because policy takes a long time to come and is passed, we usually introduce guidelines. Then later on we bring the policy. So for example, the University of Ghana guidelines for the online teaching and learning came in 2022. But it's being passed at the policy level as part of the teaching and learning policy came in April 2026. So between 2022 to April 20, what have we been obeying? We have been obeying the guidelines and we have been testing it and modifying to see what we need to do. So the guidelines will be a stop measure gap. As we use the guidelines, we learn better and we modify it. Now, the reason why it's good to do a guideline in the beginning is that you don't understand the software. You are trying to appreciate and know how human behavior is. Human behavior adapts and adapts and adapts. You come to understand it better. Then you can be able to institute the right controls for it as you go on. Okay. Franklina.
Yes, Prof. Thank you. Prof, I wanted to know, so how does UG ensure that everyone a policy relates to reads it or is aware of it? Because sometimes what I realize is it's when you do something wrong that they come and tell you that you shouldn't have done this and the policy says this and this. Looking at all the policy UG has, how do you guys ensure everybody's aware of it?
How do we ensure that what?
Everybody knows the policy, like they have copies, they've read it, they're aware of everything the policy says. Because what I realize in some organizations is that sometimes you default, then they'll come and tell you that you shouldn't have done this, there's a policy against it, and all that. And looking at all the plenty policies University of Ghana has, how do you ensure that people are aware of it?
Every good policy should have what we call dissemination plan in the policy. The problem is that many people do policy without putting dissemination plan and communication plan. The online teaching and learning guidelines should be readily accessible to members, especially faculty and students. Multiple communication methods may be employed: educational seminars, print via academic news, and the UG website. To tell you the truth, if you go to the UG website, I don't think you find the policy, although it's in principle it's supposed to be there. Please, you understand me?
Yes, Prof. Sorry, I keep getting breaks because of the rain. So yes, please.
So every policy is supposed to have a dissemination plan, which is structured in the policy. The question is that do you have the funding to be able to communicate it? Do you have the different communication methods well done? Because some of them can even use infographics. Currently, UG is trying to do that much more. So the unit that is responsible for that policy may be sending bites from the policy to stakeholders weekly so that people can be able to remember that it exists. But I can say that what you are saying is true. We have not done a good work in making it very popular. But you see, the funny thing about lack of not knowing does not excuse you from the error that you have committed. That's the problem about these policies. So the onus and the responsibilities of the student to come and find out what the policies that exist concerning behavior in relation to his academic life on campus. Okay. But I think through this particular class, you come across some of these guidelines and then you can updated of it. Okay. So please, if that addresses your issue, then I can move on and then we'll look at it. But we'll discuss communication policies later. The guidelines are recommended and not required. A standard may require technical controls for accessing internet securely. Separate guidelines outline the best practices on how to use the internet, how to be able to use the internet, and then manage your online presence on the internet. Okay. Procedures are also often mandatory, but they are the step-by-step operational steps they are operational steps or the manual method that have to be followed most often intimately to be able to enact or implement a policy. For example, the procedure for installing a new printer, there may be step-by-step out step-by-step instructions within the printer manual. And if you don't follow it intimately, sometimes we might not be able to activate the printer. So it is important that you appreciate that procedures also exist. Procedures live where the work happens at the desks, in the server room, or on checklists. They, they exist to deliver the goal of the policies and standards, never for their own sake. So we have developed the policy, and then the question is that the question then comes in, what are the standards, what are the guidelines, and thereafter, what are the steps in implementing it or enacting it? And that's where your procedures will come in. So at a higher level, we are the boardroom. High level say what and why. Mandatory are people at the top. At the tactical level, we are okay. At the tactical level, we have the mandatory specific controls, which are called the standard. Then we have those which are guidelines, which are recommended best practices, which are used as strongly advised steps that can guide the researcher or guide the student or guide the behavior of the employee. Then we have got the operational steps to implement. Okay, thank you. Does anybody have anything to this? Okay. Now let's look at data backup. For a policy, we will describe the need for a backup and for off-site storage and the safeguarding the backup media. For a standard, we'll define the software that will be used for backing up and how to configure the software. For a guideline, we'll tell you the best practices in performing the backup, especially in the use of software. And number 4, we will tell you how to use that backup software, the timing for making the backups, and the way users interact with the backup system. Okay. Now, policies are intended to last for about a longer time, for about 5 years. But technically, standards change far more often than procedures, structures, and processes, because procedures, structure, and processes are the what will necessitate the change. And if standards and policies are taking 5 years, we can modify standards towards updating the policy later. Okay. Any question? Now let's look at an example here. Let's read this one. Can we get a Redeemer to read, or Redeemer, if you can read it for us?
Western Michigan University in practice. WMU's Office of Information Technology runs a policy and communication unit. It facilitates development of IT policies, rules, guidelines, and procedures. Rules, guidelines, and procedures. Works with the campus security committees and other constituents and educates the campus on policy, law, and best practice. Policy. Communicates compliance in matters pertaining to the university's data and computing assets. Initiated by the Campus Information Security Committee or other constituents. Dynamic. reviewed annually to stay relevant with best practices. Rule, similar to a policy, best describes the operation, definitions, and constraints of the use of computing resources. Guidelines, recommended action and operation guides for users, created collaboratively with subject matter experts from computing support units. Incorporates best practices. Procedures, tasks performed to achieve a tasks performed to achieve a desired outcome can be created by external IT or by departmental groups.
Okay, so these are what the University of Michigan is doing. There's the policy, there's a standard which we call the rule, the guidelines, and the procedures. But do you realize that they have a policy and communications unit? Dina, these are the policy and communication units is one under IT.
Yes.
Good. And they don't just develop, they educate campus on policy, law, and best practices. So what is the role of the policy and communication unit of the Office of IT? What is the role? What is the role? Yes. Sandra.
So Prof, to help develop the IT policies and ensure that they educate the campus on these policies and laws and and the best practices.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Who are the stakeholders of the policies and rules? Okay. Who are the stakeholders? Yes, Nina.
Please, I'll say it's everyone because they design for all the people in the organization.
Yes, but it's much more, you didn't say everyone, it's very broad. So you're talking about those within the organization, is that it?
Yes, please. So each department in the organization.
How are policies developed and how are they maintained? How are policies developed and how are they maintained? Yes. Oh, then your hand is up already. It's okay. I want somebody else. Yeah, Terence.
Yes, Prof. They are developed by a collaborative effort with experts on the subject matter, and also they're reviewed annually to stay relevant.
Well done. Okay. In terms of them, how often should we review it? In terms of Western Michigan, how often are they reviewing it?
Prof, they're reviewing it annually.
Do you agree with it?
But I think that as it's dynamic, as and when the need may also call for the review.
Okay, but I don't agree with you. You see, technology is changing very fast and it's evolving. So if you don't do a review, you can review and say there's no need to add anything. If you don't do the review often, we may lose a lot of technological progress. And by the time we come back, a lot has changed and we don't even know where to start from.
Yes, Prof.
Good. Then lastly, what are the interrelation between policies, rules, guidelines, and procedures? What are interrelationships? What are the interrelationships? Okay, nobody's answering that. Victor, try it.
I think they are all focused on information technology. So they are all on the focus on the use of it. So with the policy, rule, and everything.
Okay. Redeemer.
Prof, I just wanted to say, like, to achieve a desired outcome.
So they are co-dependent on each other.
Yes, please.
Okay. So to be able to create synergy between the policy and the actions that take place on the ground, we have to make sure that when we take a policy, there's a way we can track it in how it is understood and communicated to the person who is going to be experiencing it. So we make sure that there is a very good, a uniform line that actually makes the policy and its corresponding government mechanisms talk to each other. Otherwise, you cannot be able to do anything afterwards. Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead. Now, look at the two interrelationships here, strategy and policy. In the University of Chichester, they said the digital and IT strategy set direction for developing IT services in the university. Vision, embrace the best of technology so every student has an outstanding learning experience. Built to support the university's 2020 vision, it aims to exploit digital technologies to staff and students succeed in the data world today and future. IT services, the policy. IT services exist so students exist so staff and students can carry out work, research, and activities. Access is authorized on the condition of compliance. So if you're not compliant, you don't give access. Governing documents include the Electronic Information Security Policy, IT Code of Conduct, IT Provisioning Policy, Mobile Phones Purchasing and Use Policy, and Data Protection Policy. Email account sharing requirements. Okay. So the strategy and the policy, they have a relationship. In your view, which of them comes first? I know I've answered this question previously, but look at what is here. For Michigan, which of them comes first? For Chichester, sorry, which of them comes first? Chichester, University of Chichester. Which of them comes first? Yes, Franklina.
So for them, strategy comes first. They base on the strategy to develop the policy.
What is it? How did you determine that?
They said the digital and IT strategy sets the direction for developing IT services in the university, and the policy sits under the IT services.
Okay, good. That's a very good point. Victor, you have another view?
No, it's the same view. Yes. I agree with
Okay.
him.
So what's the key word that makes you, that emphasizes your point? What's the key word there, or key phrase?
Um, when they said it sets the direction for developing IT services in the university. Hello.
No, I'm here. I'm listening. I finished listening to you. I thought somebody would come again. Adrian, were you coming?
No.
Okay. So do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Now, what's the relationship between IT strategy and the core vision of the core vision of strategic direction of the university? So if you see here, the document that we see, the first part is the IT strategy, the second part is the university's vision. But the university's vision is stated with technology in it already. So sometimes the vision of the company is seeing technology first. As soon as the university puts technology first, then you realize that the strategy is going to play a very key role. And then the policy will be then developed to support the strategy, which then supports the vision of the university. So the argument that the policy is coming to support the existing strategy, which is in the direction of the university, it is true. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Good. And do you see that the policy didn't come alone? The policy came and it actually mentioned other related policies that it is coming with.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good. Which is consistent with what we said. So remember, you asked a question that should we have one IT policy, IS policy for everything? Look at what is happening here. We have different types of policy. The security policy is there, the code of conduct policy is there, the provisioning policy is there, the mobile phone policy is there, the data protection policy is there. Okay, thank you. So we have done this one. Okay. So policy is a governing mechanism. What is not done? The methodology for achieving that the objective or goal as prescribed by policy is what we call the strategy. Policy is formulated at the top level management. Medium level management may initiate it or may even certain users can also initiate it. So that, but to take the top management to pass it if it's a policy. If it's a guideline, maybe middle management can just use it with at the middle management. Now, strategy is basically a middle management issue. It may also include top management. Okay, now, some organizations take the strategy alongside their vision already or goal. And then at the end of the day, we develop policies to support them. But when they come to the sub level, they still also they want you to come up with their own strategy. What am I trying to say? The University of Ghana came up with a strategic plan for the next 5 years. Then after that, it told all the departments that build your strategic plans for at your unit level. So we now have maybe business school strategic plan. College of Humanities is supposed to have a strategic plan. Now, what do you expect from what is happening? You take from the business University of Ghana strategic plan, look at the pillars that are there, and then communicate the pillars in a way that it will also fit your own. Please, you appreciate what I'm saying. So the strategic plan came. Then, because of the new strategies that have come up, there are certain policies that have to be passed to be able to let the strategy work. So your policy concerns thought and behavior and actions. Your strategy is about action. Companies tend to start with action and then they bring their behavior and thought to bear when the action is actually in place. So in principle, some areas when there's maturity and they want to go strategy, they may state it early alongside the business vision. Then the policy will come and support. Others too, if they have already established maybe the mother company already, all you have to do is that they will have to just establish the policy for enacting this one for Africa, and then the strategy will come and support it. It can happen either way, depending on the organization, the knowledge available to them, and the skill set available internally. But like every other person, people put in where the money comes from. Strategy brings the money faster. So strategy will start. When they are sure of how the strategy is working, then they develop policies to be able to enforce the strategy. Okay. Please, I hope these two have well explained, because this discussion will come up most often. Now, despite the strategy and the policy, there's also the role of them. The role of the policy can be regulatory, advisory, and informative. An example being that when it says regulatory, that means that you are giving you the laws and regulations concerning what we are, the activity that we want to govern. And the policy can be drawing from regulations, which is at the national level, at the industry level, at the level of an institutional or an association that they tend to belong to or subscribe to, like Bank of Ghana, tend to be a regulator. Good. Then advisory tells you that this is the best way to do it, but it's not putting any compulsion on it. What is acceptable is not acceptable. So acceptable email use policy. Corporate addresses serve as business communication only. Violation can mean discipline or dismissal. That can be found in an acceptable email use policy. But informative, beyond enforcement and education, policies inform stakeholders, like a purchase return policy and the online retail shop. They'll tell that this purchase return policy informs you that whenever you buy something, you have got the possibility of bringing it back for a refund. They are just informing you. But sometimes organizations don't know that the interaction between the three. Now look at this one. This is the Amazon.com returns policy. Now looking at the three things, the holiday policy, the Amazon returns and seller returns, which of them is informative, regulatory, and then advisory? The baseline is that Amazon.com and most sellers on the platform offer returns for items within 30 days of receipt of the shipment. Now, these are some of the government mechanisms that have been put across, but what roles are they playing? So let's take it one by one. The holiday policy, Amazon returns, and seller returns. Read each of them, each of the three, and then tell me what you think they are doing. Conrad, would you want to take the first one, holiday policy? Or Brian Ovule. Ovule. Do you want to take the first one, holiday policy? Is it advisory? Is it informational? Is it regulatory? Mine and Conrad, we are waiting for you.
So with the holiday policy, I think it's advisory. So they are trying to draw their customers or stakeholders' attention to the fact that they should pay attention to the times and the days they have stated in the document or communique.
Are you sure? Okay, Dina, do you have a different view?
Yes.
Oh.
So based on what the holiday policy is saying, you could see that he's giving you timelines and then also so it's more of informational. However, with the seller's return, it's more of advisory, which is following sellers must provide us return address. So then it's more on what the customer should do. But then the other bits are more on the informational.
Hey, you are confusing yourself. So anyway, Brian, I'm waiting for you. Brian, oh, I know you.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Me, I guess as the holiday policy, people are talking
Can I
about
be?
things. Is them holiday policy? Is it informational? Is it
I
advice?
think the holiday policy is regulatory.
Okay.
Hello,
Why?
sir.
Why?
Because it stated that if you buy things within the Christmas holidays, you can only get a refund until 31st January. So with after 31st January, you can't get a refund for it.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's very
So it's
interesting.
just so if you come after the 31st January, there's nothing for you.
Victor, holiday policy.
Hello, Prof. I agree with Brian. I think it's a regulatory one because it has fixed deadlines or periods for certain things to be done. If not, they will not happen. So I think it's regulatory.
Okay. Salom.
No, sir. Yes, I also think it's regulatory because even the last part of the statement said third-party shipment follows the same holiday policy. So it means it's something that's in the industry, something that they do once you're in that industry. So I also think it's regulatory.
Okay. Good. Now let's move to Amazon returns. So regulatory and more. And then we have got Dina who says it's informational. I think so. Or then let's go Amazon returns. Yes, Victor, Amazon returns. What is it?
I think this one is informational because it's
Why?
just giving information. Uh, yeah,
What
it's
what what
just giving it.
what word there makes it informational to you?
Uh, Please, I want to see the screen. Something black is covering it.
Sorry.
Yes. So the option they are using like deals, they can be returned within 30 days. In most cases, like uh, that is the phrase that is. It's like it's making it in case of in case you get it, you can actually return it. It's making it like optional, just informing you what you can do in the particular situation, but it's not fixed.
Okay. Okay. And then the seller returns. Okay. Anyway, yes, Adrian.
That would be an advisory because there's a consequence for not adhering to the the guide or the instruction, like feeling that bias me.
For which of them? Amazon returns or seller?
No, seller retains.
Okay. 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 Interesting. Um, okay, thank you. I've seen Victor, your hand is still up. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
We agree. Okay. Okay.
It's-
Um, this is interesting, man. The students here, you have got different views from other students. Totally. Okay. So okay. Which clauses bind the sellers by obligation? Which clauses steer customer behavior? And which clauses simply tell stakeholders how things work? So you said that Amazon returns is informational.
Yes,
So it's about how things work. Eh? Good.
yes.
Then which clauses steer customer behavior, and which are bind obligation. Which of them is binding obligations?
The holiday policy.
Holiday.
Okay. We also have the seller return. Oh. So let me raise my hand. I have a question.
Don't ask me a question. We are discussing. Please, I must say that this is the answer. I guess we are all discussing. So, Nina, go ahead.
I was about to ask if one policy can have all three, or like let's say two or three of the guidelines, because I'm seeing informational as well as advisory with the return sellers returns. So then it becomes like, which one should you choose? I don't know if you understand my question.
Yes, please. Okay. So look at the clauses very well. Seller, let's look at seller. Orders fulfilled by third-party sellers go back to the seller, not Amazon. So if you buy from a third party, it means that if you want your refund, you are going to the or return to go back to the seller. Sellers must provide US return address, a prepaid return label, or a full refund without return. Okay. Failing that, buyers may file an A to Z guarantee claim. Now, if you are a buyer, this one is advisory to you. Am I right?
Yes.
If you are a seller, this is what to you.
So a
Sellers,
policy,
no, we know it's a policy, but what type of role is it playing?
Regulatory.
But
Yeah.
sellers must. Sellers must. For a seller, it's a must. Okay. But if you're a buyer, this is information, is what is advisory to you, is that not it?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Has a hand up. Mod, is there a question? Mod, do you have a question? If not, let me go ahead. Now let's look at the scale one. Holiday policy. Let's look at the clauses well. Items shipped by Amazon between November 1st and 31st, 2016 could be returned until 31, 2017. That's January 31st, 2017 for a full refund, subject to other return guidelines. Third-party shipments follow the same holiday policy unless a seller stated otherwise. Is it informational? Is it regulatory? Is it advisory?
Hello, Prof. My hand is up.
Oh, yes, you can go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm changing my mind on this. Initially, I said it would be regulatory, but I think it's actually advisory.
To the buyer.
Yes, to the buyer.
Then items shipped from Amazon.com, including warehouse deals, can be returned within 30 days in most cases. Some products carry different policies or requirements, informational or regulatory.
Informational.
Informational. Okay. The holiday policy, please look at it again. Those who are saying it's advisory, look at it again. Do you know they have actually stated when you can actually access your refund. Yes, Salom.
Yes, sir, I still think the holiday policy is regulatory because even the rules is which clause bind the seller by an obligation. And it says the third party in the holiday policy, it says third party shipment follows the same holiday policy unless seller states otherwise. So you are obliged to do
Salom.
this if you want this within.
I think it went off. Oh, my
Hello,
internet
sir.
is. Yeah, my internet was not stable, so I couldn't hear what you said at the end.
Okay, so I was saying that the rule says it binds the seller by an obligation. And the policy here is saying for you to get this, you must do this within this time, which is binding. So if you don't do it within that time, it means you don't get the benefit of it. So I still think it's regulatory.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now I understand you understand it. Redeemer, I come to confuse us.
Yes, I was coming to confuse us.
Okay, continue.
I would disagree with Selon. The statement is not really enforcing to me. It's just like informational. It's something that it said could be retained until, so could, not like something that is enforced.
No, it's actually telling you that that's when you, during the holidays, this is the time that you'll be working if you are looking for refund. That's why it says a holiday policy. Look at what it's meaning. And
Okay.
this is all of this belong to what we call returns policy. So look at the mother policy you are trying to, and these are subdivisions of it.
Okay.
So during holidays, you can only get refund if you submit it by what? 31st. And that's what they have established as by regulation, that if you come outside the 31st, don't mind you.
Okay, Prof.
Do you understand me?
Yes, I understand.
Non-holiday time, you have 30 days. Do you understand it?
Yes.
So what they're trying to do, during holiday time, you have more than 30 days. Because if you buy November 2nd, you have got up to December and up to January. That's 2 months.
Okay.
Good. So the general return time is 30 days, and that's an information we are giving to you. And it's also a regulation that they have. But they're informing you that the general return date is 30 days. But during the holiday season, this is what we can offer. And it's binding. So
Okay.
we are not just informing you, we are not trying to tell you that during the holiday time, we have opportunity for you to spend more time before you make a choice. Whilst the non-holiday time, you can only get it within 30 days. But the non-holiday time, the holiday time, you have got up to 60 days. If you were like from November to January 31st, it's about 60 days. Or even though it's 90 days, it's not, it's 90. Okay. Thank you. So I think I like the arguments. Everybody has argued very well. For example, today I've learned something. I never thought about it, that the seller part is regulatory, but the buyer part is what? Advisory. Oh,
Yeah.
good. I've always said it's advisory. I never thought about the seller part too. And the holiday policy, that one, I think I agree with everybody who says it's regulatory. However, the Amazon returns is information, and that's the baseline information everybody should know. Yeah. But it also has a regulation in it that is 30 days. We don't do anything about it. By that 30 days changes during the holiday time, and that one becomes what? Is binding. It becomes 90 days for us. Okay, but please, there's a question by Dina that can you have one policy that is having different aspects being binding and other non-binding? It's the clauses that we are looking at, not the policy, the clauses. The clauses within the so this is Amazon return policies. They have one for holiday, then look at the clauses there. Then they have the one for the general returns and the one for seller returns. Dina, is it explanatory?
Yes, please. So then that
Thank you.
means one policy can have, so for instance, the seller returns, it's both advisory as well as regulatory.
Yes, but you have to look at the clauses.
Okay.
The clauses.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Remember, what you are studying is the roles they play. Good. And number two, the clauses. Which of the clauses enforce that rule? So a clause can be informational, regulatory, or advisory. Okay. Thank you very much. So this is what we have learned throughout today. Okay, so before we walk away, I want to know whether there are any questions. Last semester we met. If there's anything that you think we can do to better. Now our 7 o'clock is 7 o'clock, so we are 7:30, 7:30. There's no change in time on this one. I think we have seminar at 6 p.m. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any issues? Good. If you don't have any feedback for us, then thank you very much. So
Thank you, Prof.
everything has been handed over to you. What's your next class?
Advanced
Then
strategic management.
But that's a joint class. Oh,
yes,
Yes,
Prof.
please.
okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Why are they clapping their hands? The topic was confusing or
We are thanking you, Prof, for last
It was
semester,
good.
the coming semester.
last semester what happened?
Oh, I think we appreciate how the semester went. That's what I think.
Hey, this one it is coded message.
Prof, please, seminar one results are not in.
Seminar.
Seminar one.
Yes.
Okay. When we meet, we'll talk about it. I think I have to ask Dr. Foreman about it.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I can see people arguing here too. Holiday policy is informational. Holiday policy is information because it communicates special return. But it's also binding. It's communicating, but it's largely binding. So I would say it's regulatory. Now, for something to be regulatory, to also inform you. So if regulatory is higher than it, then it's more regulatory than more informational. Because whatever it is, the statement is informational baseline. But when you start putting binding statements in it, then it's moving to either advisory or regulatory. So that's something that I've also learned today from what I'm explaining to Mary and Victor in the chat room. So I hope you understand it. Every policy will be informational on the baseline. It's telling you something. But if they start putting binding statements into it or start advising you in it, then you start realizing that it's going advisory or it's going what? Regulatory. should regulatory not be breaching a policy outside Amazon rules? Okay, when we say no, when somebody says regulatory, it means that it's governing. For example, the Electronic Transaction Act is regulatory. It specifies what you are expected to do, and if you don't do it, there are penalties for it. So Amazon is telling you that if you are in the holiday season, you have more than 90 days, or more than 30 days, you have to do it within 90 days. But in that 90 days, if you don't do it, you will lose it out. Maybe one thing you should understand that the way the holiday season in America is a very busy season. It's a very financial financial market. It's a high financial opportune time for period for many American businesses. So they don't joke with it. And that's why I was telling you that the holiday season is viewed as a very important market period for companies. So most of the things they put there is more not just informational advice, it's more regulatory so that they can manage people and their expectations. And they can also give room for people to spend more money. They want to get them to spend money. But they also want to be able to make sure that they don't have people who are disturbing them because during the holiday period, they are doing a lot of sales. Products go out and products are coming in. So if I buy a laptop the November 2nd, I can be able to wait till 31st after using it for 2 months and say that I'm returning it. Amazon is giving more flexibility to the consumers, but it's telling you that beyond that, I cannot return it anymore. Okay. So thank you very much. This argument will continue going on with it. Maybe as we gain more understanding, we'll come back and discuss it again. Okay, thank you. Next week we'll look at examples of IT policies and discuss quite a number of them. Thank you very much.
Prof.
Sandra
Prof.
has changed her DP.
Who?
Sandra. She has changed the picture now.
I said I should change it.
Yes.
Sandra.
Yes, Prof.
Don't worry. I've seen it. This one, I don't know whether at an airport or church. One of them.
It's church.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Prof, last question.
Yes, please.
So concerning the IT policy, so if there is a situation or an instance where that policy does not capture that situation, what is done about that situation? I don't know if you get my question.
So you are saying that if there's a situation that the current IT policy doesn't address.
Yes.
Okay, so what then happens is that the organization may come up from guidelines on how to deal with it. Then later, when they gain much more maturity and understanding, they may upgrade the guideline to a policy. So, for example, when we had COVID and we wanted to start teaching online, we couldn't go straight to the policy because we are now even getting to understand all this thing about Zoom and then turn it in Zoom and then Teams and even free caller. People are even using free caller to teach all kinds of stuff. Initially, the University of Ghana even give students data from Vodafone. I think 1 gig or something like that. And then they give lectures to, I think, 2 gig or something. They try to different ways to provide support for us to be able to teach online. But we didn't, it was during those teachings that we got to know certain observations. So they told us to do a study about how the teaching went. And I led the business school to do the business school study. And the report was very interesting. People were giving their views on how the learning went and what went right and what went wrong. So when the university told us that we should start developing the e-learning policy, we were able to use that e-learning, the teaching and learning report that we had done online learning report that we have done as a backup, as a baseline to be able to know what were the views of students and what were the challenges that we faced. So when we don't know what to do, you start with guidelines, and then you implement the guidelines and evaluate it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Prof, these guidelines, is it stated in the policy that in case of any uncertainty, this, or we do it like we go along with it as and when the issue or situation happens?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. Okay, so nobody will state it in policy, but if you will know how policymakers work, they always start with some guidelines and then they grow it up to standards and then grow it up to a full policy, or sometimes from guidelines straight to policy. Sometimes they may end up coming up with a policy which will be simpler and the guidelines will still stay, like University of Ghana has done. They may come up with policy which is simpler, and then the guidelines will still be the one because they still think that the guidelines are easy to modify as and when we go ahead and technology is evolving. So whether you see that statement in it is no, it's more about, for example, it's more about people understand governance structures or governance mechanisms. So some people don't even know the difference between a policy and procedure, standard, and then guideline and even policy. So they don't do anything. They may even say rules. We have some rules of engagement. So in terms of actual terminology, you may not find it always like the words I've just said here. Yeah.
Okay, Prof. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So thank you very much. We'll meet at during the what's the name of the class? We'll meet during the
Seminar.
seminar class. Yes, please. Seminar class. Thank you very much. Class rep, send me the documents that you compiled. Okay. And
Okay.
then please set up your groups so that we can have them next week. Set up your groups, the name of people in the names of the people in the group, their index numbers, their email addresses, their contact numbers, and then the name of the group. So class rep, try and compile that as soon as possible. We need it to support what we are doing. We need to support it.
Okay. Prof, how many people in the group, please?
We see ourselves as being 39, and now we are 29. I saw 39. So I was going to say 10 in a group or 8 between 8 to 10 in a group. So we
Okay.
can have only four groups maximum, 4 or 5 groups maximum. But I don't know the actual number. Do you know the actual number for your group?
39.
39. Then
Yes.
4 39, there's 4 groups. I don't think we should worry ourselves that much. 4
Okay,
groups will
Prof.
work. Okay. So thank you very much. I think we've come to the end of the session. Hi, the guy who asked the question, I wanted to show you what I was telling you. We'll see if I can show it to you. Okay, hold on. Adrian, your hand is up. I don't know whether you're saying something.
So I wanted to ask that in the guidelines, when you develop guidelines and then you want to roll out, should you roll it out like with a small group of people to see how it works, and then you make modification, or you just roll it out to the entire organization?
Depends on the scope of the guidelines. If the scope is for a small group of people, then that is it. But if the scope is for the whole organization, you can actually see that it will be start by we want to have a pilot phase. The pilot phase is only applies to department A and B. And as the institution gains more knowledge, then we can be able to manage your risk. It only applies to department A and B. And as the institution grows or learns more from the pilot phase, we would extend it to do more. So that's what sometimes others do. They start with the pilot phase, then when they would add other things to it. So you are right in your question.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Right in your question. Thank you too. Thank you too. Okay, so I mentioned that the UGBS developed an e-learning report during the COVID time. So this is a report that we did. And we looked at the student experiences, feedback from students, and then the faculty online teaching experiences. And then findings from qualitative interactions with the students and administrating, timetabling and stuff. So it was part of these things that we're able to define how we are going to manage the actual projects. I just wanted to show you some of the responses that students gave us. So location of residents during COVID, quite a number of them were from Greater Accra. And then the kind of tools that they were using. So we can see Zoom was the most used, but the other ones, free conference scholar, and then other ones that the lectures were also using. And mode of delivery was live, and then both. Some of them were live, some of them were recorded. And okay, so we didn't. There were. I would say we had excellent results. We had largely positive results, but not excellent results. And I think what's important that we should be doing this often. I don't think we are still doing it that much often. We are doing that just general assessment, but we are not actually gaining people views on this. Yeah. So this is a report that we put together. So out of this report, we came up with a recommendation that informed what we should do. Let me see if I can find some recommendations. Catered to students earlier on timely basis. This is what I think Dina was talking about earlier. Students must have a prescribed standard media for delivering lectures. Sakai, Zoom, email should be adopted as primary media. School must organize compulsory training for students. I don't think we are doing that yet. And then I think university does it. Students on special programs of the school must be oriented on how to do online registration. Details of online registration. I think now they are doing that. They help you with online registration. So the school should expand and improve infrastructure. I think now you see the classroom, they have put this screens in the classroom. All of these are part of the reasons why we did this type of study. And then we should do something about the ghosting. Ghosting. Students come on, they switch on and they get up and go. We know that. Yeah. So I would say that we do all these things to support the research that we do. We do all these things to support the research that we do. Thank you very, very much. Have a baseline out of a pilot and then use to inform what you do as your strategy. Thank you very much. So see you later.